Hello, beer fans, and welcome to episode 9 of the Third Pint Theory. Or is it episode 8, Martin? I'm not sure.
Oh, and losing track. I'm
Yeah.
losing track. More than one, and less
Yeah.
than 10.
Probably more than we thought we would be at this point.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Quick intro if you're listening on audio. It's me, Michael Donaldson, your co-host, and I am with, as always,
Martin Bridges, the beer bigwig.
yes. Welcome, Martin. And the pod we're going to deliver you today, I think, is pretty special. It was also the very first one Martin recorded, but it had to wait for a timely release. And Martin, if you could explain the backstory to this, because I guess it's the 10th anniversary of I don't know, one of the more notable events in recent New Zealand brewing history.
Yeah. So this is an interview I did a couple of months back now with Jason Bathgate and Andrew Charles. Andrew Charles from Behemoth Brewing. Jason Bathgate previously of McLeods, and you'll hear during the interview kind of what he's doing next. And the reason that we got those two together was, as Michael says, it's the 10th anniversary coming up in September of an accident that they were both involved in at the time. Behemoth were getting their beers contract brewed at 8 Wired in Matakana, just north of Auckland, and Jason was brewing at 8 Wired, and Andrew was there. They were brewing a big double IPA, and at one point during the boil, they were adding hops. There was a big boil over, and they were covered in boiling wort. So they were helicoptered to hospital, and thankfully both made a complete recovery. But it was a big deal in the New Zealand beer scene
Yes.
at the time, and I think a lot of people who were around at the time will remember that. And so and that one of the good things that came out of that terrible situation was a real bond between Andrew and Jason, and they're a great pair to get together. So we recorded it at the time because Jason happened to be in Auckland that day, basically for his leaving drinks.
Yes. Yeah.
At the end of his stint at McLeods. So I got Andrew and Jason together in the office at Behemoth Brewing. A couple of things to note. This was, as Michael says, this was the first interview I recorded. So it's a bit of time travel. We've gone back in time a little bit. I had a terrible cold on the day, so that's why my voice sounds a bit rough. We were recording in the office, which is on the top floor above Shirley's Brew Pub, and the wind kept whistling through the roof panels. So you'll hear a couple of times there's this strange noise in the background, and that is the wind in the roof.
Yeah.
Sorry
Yeah.
about
Yeah. This is the nature of recording live in industrial spaces, as we tend to do. It's worth noting that accident. Getting covered in boiling sugary syrup is not pleasant, obviously. And Andrew got burns to 40% of his body and Jason to 30%. But at the time, it was noted that the burns that Jason got were deeper. And so they were both in a really bad way. Like, they were serious burns, and they were in Middlemore for quite a long time. And when they came out, I can remember talking to both of them maybe a year after it, and they were calling themselves the Burn Brothers, which was, I think there's sort of a sense of humour that goes through this, and that's a lot to do with Andrew. And I think Jason has always said that, having been in there with Andrew was kind of good for him, because Andrew somehow managed to stay upbeat and positive through it. So, yeah, and as you say, a special bond formed. As anyone who's ever been through something really traumatic with another person will know. So it's a great interview. There's some, Jason does dance around the subject of where he's going next, because he couldn't say much at that point. Got everything in place.
I think it just so that people don't turn off at this point because they think there's going to be a really depressing about being a burn victim. But that is kind of the reason that we did the interview, but it goes across everything. It goes across everybody's, Andrew and Jason's and my favourite beers from both Behemoth and McLeods. It talks about a whole heap of things. It is really entertaining. So stick around.
No, it's not at all depressing. I didn't mean to set it up like that. It's just for background so people understand where we're coming from. The other thing, just that incident, as it will do, is change the direction of the lives for both of those people, and that's kind of covered in there. Jason certainly couldn't go back to 8 Wired after that incident, and that led him to McLeods, and sort of by a long route, it sort of led to Andrew and Hannah opening up Shirley's. So, it's it was a really dramatic moment in New Zealand brewing history. But 10 years down the line, yes, there's sort of look back with not too much depression and sadness, but more with quite a positive outlook. And as you say, very entertaining. So without further ado, we'll leave you with Martin, Jason, and Andrew.
And it is very good to be here in the very salubrious offices of Behemoth Brewing up above.
Great to have you guys here.
Shirley's Brew Pub.
Is this a think tank?
Thinking happens here for sure. It's not a tank. We're just tanks downstairs. We're there for beer more than thinking.
Yeah, that's it. Close to tanks.
So I think everybody listening to this will probably know who you are. But we should just make sure of that. Do you want to kind of introduce yourself and what it is you do?
What does it do? Well, yeah, my name is Jason Bathgate. Former head brewer at McLeods Brewery in Waipu. Before that, been with 8 Wired Brewing and Renaissance Brewing over the last 16 years. Been a bit of a chef before that, but been here in New Zealand for 16 years. Most of it making beer, which is relevant.
Where do you hail from?
We're doing today. Originally from Vermont, so on the upper east coast of the U.S.
I do know this, but they don't.
Yeah, well, I knew you knew that, but hey, that's good. We got to plug that in to let everybody else know where I'm from. So that's a bit of my origin story. Yeah. My wife and I moved here in 2009 and haven't left.
Very good.
Yeah.
Andrew.
I am Andrew Childs. I am the founder and co-CEO of Behemoth Brewing Company, and we've been around for about 12 years, and I'm a reformed lawyer. I decided to try and get honest and make beer for a living instead. So that's here we are.
And the reason that you two in particular
before that, can we cheers, guys?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
we can cheers. It's
some beers.
Absolutely. And Andrew, could you perhaps introduce what this beer is?
Oh, we're drinking Dump the Trump a beer I've wanted to stop making a long, long time ago, but the guy keeps hanging around, so I'm going to keep making fun of him. That's it. It's an American IPA. All American hop. Actually, it's not all American hops. It's a bit of Nelson Sauvin in there. There's a bit of a New Zealand protest hop in there as well. Simcoe, Mosaic, and Nelson Sauvin. And yeah, it used to be 7.2%. We brought it down to 6% because we might have to drink this for a while, and I wanted to make it a bit more sessionable since this absolute wounder is going to be around for until he chokes to death on a chicken nugget. So
That's it.
yeah.
Okay.
And yeah,
And to any of our American listeners,
I mean every single word.
we're very, very, very sorry.
We're sorry for you guys.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're listening to this years in the future when he's not around.
It's
Yeah,
pretty heartbreaking out there.
Very interesting. So, the reason that we wanted to talk to you guys was that it's coming up on 10 years since an event which involved both of you and which I have strong memories of, and it was a kind of a big deal for the brewing industry in New Zealand at the time, and obviously a huge deal for you two, as the accident at 8 Wire Brewing. Just want to kind of lead into that by saying, Andrew, you said Behemoth's been around for 12
years coming up in June. Next month we're officially.
So
By the time
this
this
was
will be
kind
done.
of early days of Behemoth. You've been kind of going for 18 months, 2 years at that time?
Yeah, about that. Yeah, less than 2 years. Yeah, around about the 2-ish year mark, I think. So.
And so you
Well, yeah, obviously, yeah, 10 years.
you didn't have your own brewery at that point, so you were contract brewing.
Took a few more years after that. We've had our brewery here for 5 years, so we're still more than half our life. We were homeless brewers. Housing displaced brewers. No, so we gypsy
Yeah.
Australians tend to say gypsy brewers, but we contract brewers. We brewed beer, but we brewed at. I think we still probably have brewed at more different breweries than anyone in New Zealand. It was at least 10 different breweries. We kind of definitely had our core breweries that we worked with, but then we've also brewed with a few others here and there. But we brewed with 8 Wide for quite a long time.
So at that time, you were brewing with 8 Wide, and Jason, you'd moved to the North Island from Blenheim with 8 Wide. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, we'd never intended to move to the North Island, but we had actually.
That's why you're buggering off again, huh?
Yeah, well, I mean, we'd always hoped that we would have been able to stay down there, but ultimately Soren and Monique wanted to have their brewery, I think near their mom. Ultimately, I think they really quite liked the Matakana area, so that's what they chose. Yeah. So we gave up Monica's business and left the Renaissance space and moved up and got set up. Yeah.
And it was a new build brewery, was it?
Yeah, it was a new. Yeah, I mean, he bought a 30 hect kit from DME, and we installed that. I can't remember when. Over December, January, I think it was.
Okay, so it had been in a while before.
Before the accident, we probably put down about 50 odd brews at that point.
Oh right, okay. Yeah. So, and so you were contract brewing Behemoth beers, and you were on site that day. Were you on site for?
I was back then. I was on site for pretty much all contract brewers. I think I might have missed a couple, but I was usually around. So we'd been. I don't know how many batches we'd done with 8 Wide at that point, but we'd done a few.
Yeah, we'd done a few.
And this was going to be this was our first ever double IPA.
Yeah.
In your face double IPA. Some people think that you named it that after the accident. I was like, no, it's meant to be like a really aggressively hopped beer, and it's in your face. Yeah. Luckily, both of our beautiful faces were unscathed. In fact, so the burns kind of like it was. There's probably I got a little bit. Do not try this at home, but I got just a light face peel, and apparently I looked younger. I mean, the rest of me was pretty messed up, but the face was fine. It kind of a
well, as
fine as it could be.
Yeah.
Trying to trying to make myself feel better here, Martin. But no, it's as good as this thing gets, you know. But no, it was yeah. So it was our first double IPA, and
First of many.
first of yes, the first of many, first of many.
Many double IPAs.
I'd like to think any of them are as good as Trop Psych, but you know, it's a hard beer to live up to, that one. But no, in your face, the beer actually came out good in the end. But yeah, no, it was while we were adding in a kettle edition and the flume, we find out, and we think afterwards the flume blocked, and we went to open up the kettle for, I think it was maybe a 10-minute edition or something, 20-minute or 10-minute edition. I don't really know or care which one it was, but it was one of those. And then we think maybe 1,000, 1,500 litres worth of hot wort exploded out of the kettle, and we were both on a platform and had to jump off. And I don't really remember too much because thankfully ketamine's a hell of a drug, and it really kind of, one of the things I talked to the doctors about afterwards is that it's such a good thing that if we didn't have those drugs, like PTSD could be a much bigger thing, but the drugs really help with that. Disassociated drug.
I was going to say.
I remember flashes that I don't like to think about it a lot, but like if I think hard about it, I can think of it, but I think about it and it doesn't feel like it was me sometimes. It's like I remember that, but I don't remember it. I don't remember like the feelings or the pain of that point in time, but I kind of think about it as like just visual kind of flashes of like things that you know, melting skin and stuff like that you know, I have to think quite hard to think about it because I've probably very much purposely opted out.
And that is probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say is that often people who've been through traumatic experiences say, I've just blocked it out completely. It's not there. I can't even remember. But then you talk to other people. I remember there was an interview with Freddie Flintoff, the cricketer, who had a big accident on filming Top Gear, and he said he can remember everything about it of the accident. What about you, Jason? Is that?
Yeah, unfortunately, I remember everything up until we got into the hospital. I mean, there was a bit in the helicopter ride that I was pretty out of it. But my experience in the hospital, that's where it really gets a bit hazy, because it was just so drugged up, you know, heavy amounts of morphine and every other drug that they could pretty much feed us to try to keep the pain under control.
Midazolam, that was a crazy one.
Yeah, I mean, even some of the people that took care of me, I remember bits and pieces of, you know, some of the relationships we started to have there and the people that would come and guests and stuff, but that was probably the weakest point of my memory was just the couple of months there, the kind of in and outs of all of it. Yeah. Some bits and pieces of some, you know, as I said, some moments, but that's about it. But the day of, no, and that sits with me. Yeah, man, I can't get rid of it. I mean, I don't like wake up in cold sweats at night, but it's there. I remember exactly what happened, and it sucks. I've gone through the whole litany of sadness, you know, the remorse, anger. Probably lately is probably more pissed off about it, you know, than anything else. Just to be totally honest, you know, I don't think anybody should have to go through that type of situation. You know, so it's hard. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's you know, from it has come other things. It's been probably a very rough and probably a good learning experience, I think, for everyone in the industry about how the seriousness of it.
And just that it's actually, you know, people think about the sexy things about brewing, but it's a manufacturing job, and manufacturing, especially hot liquids and stuff like that, there is inherent risk in it, and there's, you know, it's definitely a lot of safety measures that need to be put in place to try and. I wouldn't wish burns on my worst enemy, and I hate my worst enemies. And I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemies. I'd rather break every bone in my body. Maybe not spine and stuff like that, but like breaking bones is a lot better than burns. Burns is like, you know, and I do catch myself looking down at my hand, and I think, you know, healed really well, but like, you know, the scar tissue is going to be there forever. Yeah. And sometimes I just look and then I just kind of catch myself for a second and just get in trance and then get back on with what I was doing. But I definitely had like a little, it's not like I'd never think about it, but it's like sometimes I just catch myself and I'm like, fuck. You know, like.
Do you think that, because it is, it's a big as you say, the brewing industry, there's a heck of a lot of hazard around. There's height, there's hot liquids, there's liquids, large volumes of liquid.
Everything's under pressure.
Pressure. There's
everything's trying to kill you in the brewery, basically.
Chemicals.
Brewing is like Australia. Like, it's everything's out to get you, trying to kill you.
So, do you think that because obviously you've been 10 years now, and you've both remained involved in the brewing industry since then? Do you think things have improved over that time, safety and wise and awareness?
It was definitely a big wake up call at the time, and it made international, like, people overseas and Australia, like, and breweries kind of heard, maybe didn't know specifically about us or something, but they're like, oh, we heard about that bad brewing accident in New Zealand. And so I think it definitely had, I think every brewery in New Zealand, if they don't, they bloody well should have, like, SOPs in place for, like, safety first, I mean, because, we've grown in size so much, it's at a board level, it's discussion every board meeting about safety and what's going on, and has there been any misses, or, like, what's, it's front of mind. Anti-foam is,
that's pretty much a standard, I think now. It's amazing what 60 mils of that little liquid does.
So little does,
It would have prevented that whole
accident. That would definitely have stopped it, and that is now kind of standard practice.
It is pretty standard,
Yeah.
I mean, that's all we've ever used, in McLeods. And I think it's pretty. I don't think anyone doesn't use it, to be honest.
That's good, because I think certainly at the time that happened, I remember really clearly. I have a clear memory of I was working downtown Auckland, and somebody called me and said there's been a really bad accident. At the time, I couldn't think of any other significant similar accident, and I can't think of any since.
In the States, Trillium had a really bad brewing. The people had it was worse than both. It was probably as bad as both of us put together. It was pretty bad. And I visited there quite often. It was a tradie who was servicing around, which I don't know why on earth they were servicing it while there was a boil going on. But it was bad. But I haven't heard of. I haven't heard it's not very frequent, and that's the only one I can really think of.
Yeah, it's pretty rare.
I've had discussions with people who have had, like, burn, but it's usually like some hot word of, like, poured down their boot or like something like that, but not at that kind of little level that will happen to us. Yeah,
no, agreed.
Yeah, and that's good. We haven't had anything since, and certainly not in New Zealand. I don't think that has been cool. So. Obviously, not wanting to kind of dwell on the day itself all that much, but what were your kind of first memories afterwards? What are the things that stand out, kind of post accident? I remember I came to see you in the hospital at Middlemore, Andrew, and I think you were not.
I don't think you could have visitors.
You couldn't have visitors at that time, which was
well, I mean, I'd spent a couple of weeks in the ICU unit, two different occasions. So it was I had about probably 50%, all my back, my chest, all my arms, across my head, and then the scar tissue, then where they took all where they take all the skin grafts.
I fucking remember that, man. I remember that
from
like
the
a
knees,
fucking potato peeler on you. It's
the knees to waist. Probably for both of us. So you just have a lot of exposed skin, and you're really susceptible to.
You would have.
And we had heaps of visitors.
Oh yeah, we had.
You had to put on your gowns and your head coverings and all that kind of stuff. So they were pretty strict about, like, the burns. And you have to say that, like, the burns, they did an amazing job, and, like, they just and there were people in there that were burnt a lot worse than us, and, like, I actually went back and visited a few months later when the whole Whakaari White Island thing happened, and gave some beer and stuff to the nurses, because I was like, it was bad when we were there. Imagine, like, us times 20.
20 people.
And people dying, and, like, way worse burns than us. Like, they are freaking saints. Like, I can't speak highly enough. I've bumped into my old anaesthetists and like who's come into the pub and stuff like that. I don't really remember because like I was pumped full of ketamine.
She was doing her job well.
Anaesthetist did a bloody good job.
It's really if you can recognise your anaesthetist, something went a bit wrong.
Well, they made a really big impression before I kicked in. But no, but like I actually do remember being pissed off because when I had the skin grafts, because they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna put you under. We might have to take skin grafts. We might not. We don't know. We won't know until it happens. And I wake up, and someone had peeled the back of my thighs off, and there's not enough drugs in the world for you not to be able to feel that. Like it is. I just woke up in like just absolute agony. And it is literally someone like feels like someone has taken a potato peeler to you and peeled off your skin. And it was a necessary evil, and I'm really happy that I did it because it has helped the healing and everything. Yeah. But at the time, I was pissed. I was super pissed. Yeah, it was gnarly.
And you
just because I wasn't expecting it. If I knew it, maybe it would have been different. But I was like, it was 50-50, and you wake up and you're like, fuck. Like, yeah, it sucked.
And then you got to wear the really stylish suits.
You did get to choose your colours though. I was pretty happy about choosing the colours.
Pressure garments for a couple of years.
Because how long was your total on those?
2 years.
2 years. Yeah. I got my joke, because if you can't tell from this podcast, I make everything a joke. It's just probably my defence mechanism. Shit.
Yeah, you should. Yeah.
But I got 15 months for me, and I just, like I always say, I get 9 months off for good behaviour. But 15 months, every day, hand washing, and I don't have a washing machine at home because we're a small house, and I could choose a fridge or a washing machine. But we had to hand wash this in the basin and then put it on the line, like because you only get 5 of them. They cost like a couple of grand each, so. Yeah. I can tell you I'm glad that we were in New Zealand because and I never complained about paying my ACC levies because I think it's like $1 million worth of care each apparently.
Easy.
It's a lot, like it's an amazing system. Now, I used to work for ACC before my previous lawyer days, and if it wasn't for ACC, I mean, if we were in America, we could be paying that shit off for the rest of our lives. Like,
that's it.
So, fortunate for that.
Yeah,
like the level of care was good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really good.
And the follow-up care even. Since it's been.
It was good.
It's been really good.
Yeah.
What about on the mental side? Because it's something that obviously has a huge impact on you. Did you get support?
Not really. I think they've improved a lot, but I'm a pretty resilient person, and it's probably maybe naive to even say, especially in their with mental health being such a huge issue, with humans. What I mean? Across the world, what I mean? We all struggle with it and don't know how to deal with things. I think I've been able to manage.
And men being terrible as well, just
I've been able to manage it fairly well myself. I did speak to a couple of therapists, after, but didn't really feel talk therapy wasn't really necessarily generating what I would have expected from. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I just took a different route, used cannabis quite regularly for a long time. That was really quite helpful. Allowed me to be able to sleep at night, took away quite a bit of anxiety. So that was a big benefit. Yeah, so I mean, and having a good support group around us is really important.
We're both really lucky in that way.
So that's a really good point actually, because I think that because you were fairly early stages.
Yeah, Hannah could have and really was well within her rights just to bugger off and leave me to it because we'd only been dating for 10 months by that point. Yeah. It definitely got me thinking about like my life and what was important to me, and apparently in my drug-induced state I was telling the nurses that like we're getting married and stuff like that, which Hannah and I had one discussion about it. If we ever get married, we would get married in Martinborough, which we ended up doing. But then the nurses said, "Oh, congratulations, Hannah." She's like, "News to me." And then 3 months later I proposed. So I kind of very much put my life in perspective, and I knew that I wanted Hannah to be the biggest part of my life. So I guess I try to be a pint half full kind of guy, and it put my life in perspective and what was important to me, and Hannah and my business were the most important things, and they still are. Mm-hmm. So
it certainly felt to me at the time that the beer community kind of rallied round you guys.
There was some pretty amazing support out there.
That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, those were some of those moments that I do remember in the hospital. Oh, just would bring me to tears just seeing what everyone was doing for us. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
even just the little bit of money that they were able to raise.
They were raising money.
That
They made that
saved us from
Brothers in
bankruptcy, to be
Arms.
honest. Yeah, absolutely.
that cool Tuatara collab thing that they did. That was really,
Yeah, it was pretty incredible.
yeah, it was pretty amazing at the time. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, because they would certainly. I think back then, I think we're in a real kind of peak of kind of craft beer in New Zealand was going through a
In
huge
retrospect,
amount of growth.
yes.
In retrospect, yeah, we kind of look at it now. We got to look back and think, man, things are going crazy. Those breweries appearing all over the place, and you know, Behemoth 2 years in, 8 Wired just moved into a big space, and I think various other people had just kind of built new breweries and whatever.
Yeah, it was
So
absolute boom.
There was a lot.
it
Yeah,
was-
it was
absolute
everything
boom.
was going crazy. So it was.
What's happened in 10 years? Like a lot.
Yeah, I
Absolutely incredible.
think. But
Yeah.
I think that one of the good points I reflect on is that both of you two are still in the industry. You're still doing great things, you know. I think obviously. So Jason, this is going to be an interesting thing in terms of timing because we're kind of recording
We're
this.
coming from the past.
We're recording this at a time when you have just finished your stint as head brewer at McLeods, and that's like a seismic shift in the New Zealand beer industry.
I don't think anyone in beer has not talked to me about it. Well, in the last month,
Oh well,
it's definitely a topic of conversation.
So by the
some
time
sales, that'd be great. Yeah. We're gonna need it.
by the time you're listening to this, then we'll know all about what Jason's.
You could be listeing to this at his brewery right now. potentially. I don't even
You
know.
could, yeah. Jason's new gig is, but I just wanted to kind of before I don't want to lose the chance to kind of reflect on your legacy at McLeods. What you've certainly made a huge impression. You've won heaps of awards. The beers are spectacular. What will you remember and take from your time at McLeods?
Yeah, I don't know if I could summarize that. That was, you know, I guess sometimes the universe works in mysterious ways, if you will.
Yep.
And it kind of put me there with those guys at the time. They needed someone. I couldn't be at 8 Wired, so that transition was a kind of an open door. And they allowed me pretty much full creative freedom. And I did an enormous amount for that company, way beyond just the beers. You know, just the physical output, to be able to get it from morphing it from maybe doing 50,000 liters a year to just under 500,000 this past year, is a huge undertaking. And it was, I didn't do it by myself. You know, I did it with the help of everyone that's worked there and worked really hard with me to get there. But it was always just, my goal was that if somebody saw the brand, that they would recognize it as quality and they would trust it. Because, you know, at the time when I first started, there were a lot of new breweries, as we all talked about, and then the varying levels of quality that would go along with it. And beer is really expensive in New Zealand. And there's nothing worse than getting a disappointing pint that you just paid $18 for or $15 for or whatever it was.
Thank goodness for samples.
Yeah, you know, and yeah, absolutely. So I guess that was my mantra going in, was to try to take from the people that I had basically been drinking their beers, some of the ethos and ethics and the morals that they had to be able to establish what quality is, and then try to permeate that into the brand. And yeah, we made some great beers. We won some championships. You know, I don't put my hat on awards all that much. I think it's really a wonderful honor I
Yep.
think for them to stand out amongst the crowd is really,
It's good for the team too as
very
well.
humbling, and that was. Thank you, Andrew. That was exactly what I was going to say. Is that for me? It's more of a reward for the people
Yeah.
that work hard to do it.
Yep.
It's just that pat on the back to say you're doing an outstanding job.
Yeah, that's
Beyond
awesome.
what I would say on a day-to-day basis to somebody. You know what I mean? When you get that recognition from your peers, in the industry, that's really pretty special. But for me, at the end of the day, it's sales. It's profitability of a business that
Gotta come down to it at the
creates
end.
the sustainability of it all. I mean, that's ultimately one of the most important pieces. Because otherwise, you don't have a business if you can't pay for itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think that point about quality and reliability is absolutely key to me, because as you say, in a market where people have got limited disposable income, and costs of beer are going up for entirely valid reasons, costs of ingredients and taxes
Excise.
and whatever. The ability, and I know that, and anybody who knows me will know I've always been since you've been there, a massive McLeods fan. That I know that whatever comes out, I can take that beer and I know it's going to be a good beer. It may be a great beer, or it may be it will be solid. It will be well executed. It will do what it says it was going to do, and that's a huge positive. And I think, and if that is the only thing that you take from your time there, then that's a huge thing. I think.
But,
Is there one, if you had to take one beer from McLeods as this is kind of the touchstone of what you've done, what would
It's the
it
worst
be?
question ever.
It is that horrible. It's a horrible question.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I'm going to say my favourite
mean-
McLeods after him as well.
Yeah, I mean, we spent a lot of time and energy kind of working on the core range, and I think those all came into their own eventually. I think we were kind of just that repetition of process, you know what I mean? And we never really changed anything all that much, over the years. Slightly modifications of maybe some water profile, but really, really quite simple. I mean, really make subtle tweaks to grain bills, but nothing extraordinary. But I guess the beers that I always made myself, even I would make sure I brewed them and followed them always through, was the Smuggler's Bay program. And there are all of them in that range all have unique little stories of why we made them. But on my last day, we were drinking the Oyster Goza.
Oh,
And
that was good.
That was a really unique beer. There's a whole backstory on that about, because the whole thing, I don't even know if this podcast would be the appropriate one to tell, but the first round of oysters that we ended up getting actually put me in the hospital with E. coli. And, and come to find out, it was just there was some council waste had gotten into the water supply.
Ah, no.
So anyway, we ended up getting a new round of oysters, which is what we ended up ultimately making the beer with.
I'm glad.
Which is the better story.
I didn't get sick after I drank that beer, so
No,
I'm glad.
and, we tasted the other day, and it still tastes like slightly funky prosecco, and it really was just lovely. But it was
awesome.
it was a really interesting style, but it also added in some Brettanomyces, which I've been a huge fan of, some lactobacillus. A Gozo was a style at the time that no one was really making. Eventually they came into these fruited monsters that we see out there today.
I wonder who would make.
Yeah, I don't know who would
such
do
a
anything.
beer.
We haven't done that beer.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that one.
Save that for your Duncan's interview. Come on, jeez.
Yeah, I mean, if you had to round it down to one beer, I'll call it that one. I mean, there's so many
That's cool.
that I thought were really interesting, but that one was insanely unique at the time, and it still was 2017, so it's 8 years old. We tried it the other day, and it still tastes fantastic. And actually
Nice.
tonight, There's a 30-liter keg of that we're going to tap at Galbraith's as well.
That's what we're
So
drinking. That's what we're drinking this afternoon.
It's
Yes.
pretty much my end game.
Nice.
End game keg as well.
I knew today was going to be a good day.
What a way to go out. That's that's awesome. So, what was your?
And what's the name of the Schwarz beer you did? The Schwarz was a Schwarz beer or dark Pilsner? Dark Czech Pilsner?
Well, we did, the Windswept was the one with coffee. We did a Schwarz beer. And then there was Great Wave. That was a Japanese.
No, the Japanese dark lager.
Yeah.
Because I'm like a massive like Asahi Black and stuff like, which only like gets imported like in really heavy glass bottles.
Yeah, you never see it. Yeah.
But that beer was great, and the wit beer that you did a couple of years ago was phenomenal. I was visiting one of New World Durham Street, which is like the best New World in the South Island, and I got a punnet of fresh raspberries, and I had that with a roadie. I was sitting in the car park drinking this beer, eating fresh raspberries, and having this amazing wit beer.
Ooh,
and it was and I was like, fuck, Jason, this is good. I was like, it was just such a moment. I was like, yeah, I love that, because it's a style of beer that doesn't do well. Like New Zealanders, on average, do not like wheat beers. The word wheat scares them, and I love wheat beers. We've got one on tap downstairs at the moment, and like I love them. And yeah, so that was that. Like, you know, I've had lots of good longboarders. I've had lots of good core range stuff, and I've geeked out over the black. What was the black? The Smuggler's Bay Black
Watch. Or the Imperial.
Yeah.
Or the Black Sours.
That was pretty phenomenal as well. Yeah. I literally, when people talk about McLeods, I was like, yeah, it's my favourite brewery I don't own. So, I say it at least like once a week. So you've done really well, and it's quite a legacy, and then there's some large boots to fill.
Yeah. And mine, it was good. While you were doing that, I was like, what was my favourite McLeods beer?
You guys sooner so I can open a beer.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, I've been holding out. Like,
so my, I kind of picked two. One was last year's West Coast IPA Challenge beer. I can't remember the name of it. But that to me was like, this nails West Coast IPA. You know, it was just so to style.
Yeah.
It was, I loved it.
Okay.
But the other one, which always
I'm blanking
sticks,
on the name of that one too, because but it came out really, really quite nice. And
the other one, which again for people who know me will find this a little bit
Forest
bizarre.
of Giants.
That was the Forest of Giants. That was the one.
you're about to say hazy, aren't you?
I'm going to say Cove.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So
really well
as a hazy pale ale,
Yeah.
I could smash that, and I loved it when it came out in 6-packs. You know, that was it was just such a great.
That beer is made for a 6-pack.
Drinkable beer,
Yeah.
and so again that was. Cheers to everything you did at McLeods, Jason.
Cheers.
Let's have another cheers with that oyster goza later as well.
Oh yeah. We will do that, and we'll talk a little bit about Behemoth beers in a minute. But you can talk about what.
We're drinking
here's
Here's Shirley, won West Coast Challenge 2020, and it's my favourite core range. So we have a core range of 440ml beers, because anyone knows Behemoth knows that we've arguably made too many different beers. So we decided to do a core range 440ml of like our most awarded beers. I like the most awarded. Like I think the least awarded in the whole range has like 2 gold medals or something like that. So the rest of them won trophies or what have you. And we're like, let's do them full time, and let's make them at like a bit of a cheaper price point than our usual one-offs. So it becomes more of an everyday drinking beer, or weekend treat or whatever. And it's gone really well. And it's just a brand new printed can, so I'm really happy with how this one's come out as a printed can rather than label. So, cheers to Recorp. You guys doing a good job.
Yeah, man, well done.
Very cool. So it's kind of where post the accident, Jason needed to go and work somewhere else, and that led to McLeods. That it didn't have the same impact on you, I guess, because it wasn't your brewery. That wasn't your brewery.
It was not my. It was not my place of employment. It was not my day job. It was. I think my thoughts as a if I've gone through this and I gave up, like, what's the point? Like, is this all for nothing? And I'm incredibly stubborn, and left a law career. It's not a great lawyer. That's why I pay my current lawyer so much money. Is because I wasn't a good one. But so it's just was more determined to make the name Behemoth become less and less ironic. So we we wanted to get more beer into more people's hands, and we just did that. We just kind of we kept doing what we were doing in terms of brewing at other breweries. 8-Wired, Deep Creek, we brewed up. We still brewed a little bit of them when we opened our own brewery. We still used a bit of them for small batches and stuff like that. And then Steam, we've worked with a lot over the years. We still make our non-alc responsibly with them because non-alcs need to be pasteurised, and don't have $1 million up my sleeve to buy a pasteuriser or the space to put one ourselves. So. So it just determined to make this thing. I always wanted to have our own brewery. I always wanted to have a hospitality venue. Our hospitality venues, if I wasn't married to Hannah, who has a degree from the Culinary Institute of America, who had Bourdain studied and stuff, it would probably be a place with a food truck that rocks up. But then we decided, we opened up Shirley's. We found this site. We looked at 36 sites over 18 months. Hannah was like, well, we're not looking for sites until after we get back from our honeymoon. The day after we got back from Vietnam, we looked at our first site, and we spent a year and a half, every second weekend, kind of looking at another place. We were back in the States, staying at her parents' place in Portland at the time, and I saw this one come up on my daily Trade Me update, and I was like, I know that property. Our first one that we looked at was on Dominion Road, was the old Scientology building, which wouldn't have worked, but it was interesting. And then we looked all around kind of central Auckland, but always had a Mount Eden focus. I already live here. I live exactly 2 k's away from the brewery. We found the spot, and we're told our agent, make sure we do not lose this one, because we'd lost out on other sites by 48 hours. Someone else has got it instead of us. Thank goodness, because those sites in retrospect wouldn't have been very good. And now we're in the old Wolf Muffler, actually. So one of our landlords, the Wolves, still own it and manage it. And if you look out across the brewery, you can still see the signs on the walls where all the parts were, the Fords and STD, roots and all these parts, and that's where they were all stacked up back in the day. It's an awesome site, and we still have more room to grow. Yeah, we've got some adjacent buildings that we've leased as well. Mainly that we raised a bunch of capital, and we have a lot of really awesome shareholders, and we wouldn't be here without them. And managed to establish ourselves in one of the most central breweries in Auckland, and part of the beer mile, which is really cool. There's actually a fresh hop event going on today on the beer mile. So cool. We've in grocery, we're the 3rd largest independent brewery in grocery. Biggest that's not based in Wellington. Really, I'm really proud. It's been a journey. It's been ups and downs, especially the last few years. Post-COVID, it's been a challenge. To say it's been challenging would be an understatement. But where things are on the up and up, and I live and breathe this. So I don't have too many other hobbies. Beer has always been a lifelong hobby, and I've just been one of those ones who are fortunate or stupid enough to make it a career, depending on the day. My biggest piece of advice to anyone who wants to open a brewery: don't.
There's an easy way to make a small fortune out of brewing, and that's to start with a big one.
We read the same joke books.
Okay, so we were talking about Jason's favourite McLeods beer, or thing that he was most proud of. Well, for a start, do you know how many beers Behemoth have made?
It's about 700 something.
I actually think it's above 800.
No, I think there's some double ups on Untapped. So you do your research, man. That's not 100%. 700 something. I would hazard a guess about 750-ish, maybe. There was a point in COVID. We've always done a lot of new beers, always. Well, we ramped up. In the beginning, we couldn't because we couldn't. make one beer, try and get paid for it, make another beer. That's kind of how we started out, like a lot of people, and that's why we're Behemoth, not only because I'm a giant, it's because we started out making very small batches of beer, and the brewing behemoths were AB and Bev and Miller Coors and stuff like that. So it was like, it's funny that we call ourselves Behemoth.
Yeah.
But in COVID, when no one had anything to do, you couldn't do anything. The only things you could do was get beer delivered to your house or go to the supermarket. And we've been fortunate enough to have really good relationships, supermarkets and good distribution and stuff. So, and online went from, during COVID, 5% of our turnover to 65% in 1 month. The distribution centres and the supermarkets stopped buying beer because they needed to get toilet paper and other things. And so at that point in time, everyone wanted new everything. And so we did 165 unique beers in 1 year. And it was mental, and it nearly broke all of us. Definitely some of our staff are still not with us today because but that was, we just went hammer and tongs at it. And it was a lot of fun. We came up with a lot of fun stuff. We do a third of that now, less than a third. It's still a lot, and it's still more than most breweries do, but it's a lot more achievable. We do 2 new beers every 2 weeks. So on average 1 a week, but we release them every 2 weeks. So still a lot, but manageable. But yeah, that kind of COVID period where, we opened 2 bars in the 2 COVID years, and both the bars got a lockdown 2 weeks after they opened. So we were
it was your fault.
Totally. Bar number 3, we've got 4, so bar number 3 and 4 had no lockdown, so the curse has been broken. But that was just us. We were just the way that we could sell beer was coming up with new and fun things, and we definitely went too hard, and it definitely even alienated people. I can't keep up with them, I'm not even going to try. So it definitely wasn't all smiles and sunshine. It did backfire on us a little bit, but at the time that's what we felt that we needed to do.
So out of those 700 and odd, what is the one that you're most proud of?
And this is, I say this in private to people all the time, but it is our halfway down lager. It's won 3 goals 3 years in a row. There's nowhere to hide in a rice lager. McLeods has Longboarder has won a lot of it, but we've 3 goals 3 years in a row. I think we can claim most awarded beer of the 2020s. So most awarded lager in the 2020s. So we're super proud of it. It's what the brew team drink. It's what we love drinking here.
It's my mum's favourite beer.
Well, now I'm even more proud of it. I love your mum. Yeah. She's an amazing lady.
Absolutely.
But it's clean. It's easy. Dominion Road, where we're sitting right now, is the closest thing that New Zealand has to a Chinatown, and so an Asian style rice lager, which wins for New Zealand style lager every year, but that's what it is. We all know how to enter beers, and
yes.
Me and Jason do know how to enter beers well. So, so I'm most proud of that. People, we're the hazy, hoppy guys, and that is our bread and butter. But the thing I'm most proud of is the little lager that could. So. Yeah, and it's our biggest selling keg beer. We didn't even do a frickin' lager until we opened the pub. And I was like, you can't be a pub without a lager.
No, you can't.
So here we are.
You
Yeah.
can't. Yeah. What do you have?
Vietnamese coffee stout.
Vietnamese coffee stout.
That's good. Yeah. Good morning, Vietnam.
Yeah, man. It's just, just sitting back with it, you just get lovely layers of complexity. It's a huge beer.
What's the
It's
first?
not something you would want.
Did you brew the first batch of that? I think you might have.
Ayward, yeah.
I think you did.
Yeah, because I remember you.
Did you do the coffees? I think it was there because I think we went through and we were recirculating the coffee to see the intensity. I kind of remember that.
All I remember those days, you were always coming in with some crazy extracts or something that would stink up the brewery. And I don't think you'd put anything in that.
There's no,
it was something else.
That was the coffee that I had bought back from Hanoi.
Yeah.
I was an idiot. I got this coffee, this amazing Vietnamese coffee, at the beginning of a full day walking tour. So I was carrying around 20 kilos of bloody coffee all day. And no, it might have only been 10 or 12. It was a lot, though, to carry around all day. And that's 100% Vietnamese coffee. We actually have, over the years, found New Zealand suppliers of it. But the first one, the first couple, second one I think we had to get over. But I love that. Yeah.
My favourite Behemoth beer. So I'm going to, it's a really tough one. I am actually a big fan of this beer. Here's Shirley.
This batch is a little bit more bitterness than usual, but I'm happy with that. It was quite aggressive a week ago, but I'm happy where it is.
Always happy with that. I have a soft spot for the Dump the Trump because of what it is,
I'm interested to hear what this is, Martin.
So again, I'm going to kind of break my rules and go and the Me Time Mosaic.
Right. Yeah. Cool.
The hazy IPA.
It was crazy because there was no hazy category. That one champion IPA in New Zealand, and there was no hazy category. It was just IPA, and that one IPA, and it was New World Top 30. So
yeah,
cool.
and I just think that the Me Time Mosaic is one of those beers where everything comes together, and that to me is what something sparks in your head that goes, yeah, everything fits in here. There's nothing spiky. It just all.
I think it's the beauty of that hop. It doesn't need and it goes with a million different things as well. I think
the selections we've been able to do with it as well.
Yeah, we did selections there in Yakima, and that was really cool. That was fun to be able to do.
Yeah.
But it's a really interesting hop. But the thing is, it really messed with my series because Me Time. The whole point of Me Time is it's a hop that gets to know itself as cheerily sitting on a couch, spending some quality time with yourself, getting to know yourself inside getting to know Mosaic. And we released Nelson Sauvin and Mosaic at about the same time, and then we've done other ones since then. But it's just that now it's I want a Me Time. I was like, oh, which one? I was like, well, 99% of the Me Time we've made is Me Time Mosaic. So it's just become synonymous with that, and it's kind of killed our series.
Right.
Because no, it's not going to get better than that, and it's core range beer now, and it just confuses people. Now we do it, and now we just need to do other things. So yeah,
that's cool.
Back to Mosaic success, but yeah, it's cool. It's part of that core range 440ml.
We'll just briefly talk about.
What are we talking about? What about the new location? What are we, Jason's?
I was going to say very briefly. Yeah. What's next for each of you? And with Jason, there's probably a little bit more kind of reveal than I don't know.
Well, you go first.
Oh yeah, save the best for last.
Be the closer.
Bring it home.
What's next for us? We've just added some tanks in to add some capacity. Really, I really think that we're just going to focus more on doing what we do and do it well. There's no big. I think, you say, the heyday of craft beer. Craft beer is dead. Long with craft beer. This, I think there's a new. I think everyone just focusing on what they're good at and doing it well. Focus on our team. We're not opening any more venues anytime soon. We're not doing anything crazy. We've got some really interesting things on the horizon, but really just I'm out in the trade seeing what's going on a lot more and stuff, and I'm really enjoying getting out and getting back to my roots of doing stuff, just trying to do what we do but doing it better, and make some money at some point in time and keep making good beers. So the whole thing about Behemoth is we make big tasting beers and we try and make it fun, and we're just going to keep making more fun things. We're not political, but we like pointing out stupid things and bit of satire, never killed anyone.
Nope,
so we're just going to keep on doing what we're doing, and nothing crazy. Good beer, good people. That's it.
Nice one, man.
So,
So,
Mr. Jason, Mr. Jason,
yeah.
are you any plans?
No,
Anything
nothing.
new coming up, Jason?
No. Yeah, well, we're either making a really great decision or we're making the worst decision of our lives. But Monica and I, my wife and I, are gone all in on this little space. You guys will have formerly known it as the Monkey Wizard
Back
or
in the
Hop
day.
Federation.
Hop Federation.
And most recently, it's been Townsend Brewery's tasting room. So we're taking over this little space in Rewalka, and we're putting in just a tiny little brewery. Kind of, I hate to say it, but the antithesis of basically what kind of Behemoth is, and not in respect of our quality, but we want to manufacture, but just on an ultra small scale.
To do it over again. I'd be doing
Yeah, for whatever reason, want to work my ass off, I guess. Apparently,
Chefs are all gluttons for punishment, so
yeah,
like his upbringing and training has led him to this.
yeah. It was just kind of. There was no end for me at McLeods, like a good opportunity for me to retire or anything from the business. It's owned by two brothers. Well, I was a partner, but owned by two brothers and their father, and I was a partner in that. But it was just that was never going to work for me financially. You know what I mean, in the long term. So ultimately, I needed to have an out. Both Monica and I are getting older, and I don't foresee myself wanting to do anything else in the industry. So we've been quietly looking for the last few years at a space somewhere around New Zealand where we might be able to set up shop. But we don't want to have we didn't want to have an on-premise. We don't want to be. I've worked in restaurant business for 25 years. The last thing I want to do is wait on people hand and foot and run the complexities of that type of situation in New Zealand. It's expensive as all hell. It's just, again, an enormous amount of work on top of trying to run a production facility. So it was like if we could find a little place that had a tasting room. And then Martin Townsend decided he didn't really want to stay in that space, and that he wanted to kind of scale his business back and kind of move this brand somewhere else. So Hop Federation's been making his beer for him. So he kind of dropped all this kit in the space and then rang me and was like, dude, I don't want to do this. And I said, oh, okay, well then let's talk. So it took us, about 9 months, and we kind of hashed each other out. And
You'd given me hints of what was to happen, but I didn't quite know until I knew.
Yeah, no. You didn't really say anything to anybody else. We're trying to definitely kept our cards pretty close to our chest, for obvious reasons. And ultimately, we decided to we came up to a negotiation, and Monica and I take over the space on June 1st. So we started a business called Aliment Brewing, A-L-I-M-E-N-T. Aliment is a word in several languages, but it means to sustain and to nourish. And it's very fitting for Monica and I. It's a little classy, I guess, if we want to have, but also language is very important to us. Monica's background being a writer and being artistic and doing what she's done really will tie in to ultimately what you'll see, the look and feel of what we do, and the names of our beers and how we present them. So we just have we're in the process of getting our off license, and we'll have just a small 12 hectoliter brewery in there. The most I can fit. I've got 5 fermenters at the moment. The most I can fit is 7. So we're not, trying to take over the world by any means, but if I can sell just enough beer, we can pay our bills and have a sustainable business model for the next decade or so. And then at that point, we've got a bit of an exit strategy to be able to try to find, a means to retire at some stage. But this will be kind of our last hurrah, if you will. And I said that to Monica, and she's like, "This is not our last hurrah." And I go, "No, not like that. I mean, this is like our last,
brew till I die.
Last championing of ourselves in a beer fashion."
Can you give me at least 8 weeks heads up so I can get cheap flights down to Nelson?
Yeah, so if
It's
timeline,
damn expensive to get to Nelson.
Last minute it is.
In the last, the prices have definitely gone up in the last 6 months.
Can't wait.
Yeah, so our beers are not going to be dramatically different from what I've been making at McLeods. And the reason, not because I want to do what McLeods did, but I was what McLeods did. Do you know what I mean? And I don't mean that in an arrogant, egotistical sense, but it was my freedom to make the beers that we made. Yep. And ultimately, that's what I make. I make very honest, very straightforward, some quite stylistically accurate beers. And I want to refine what I did there a little bit and do, some variations, I guess, if you will, of those. And we've got a nice opening menu that I've come up with, some beers. So we're just going to have a tasting room that people can buy beer on our website. They'll be able to buy from the tasting room to take away, and then we'll distribute throughout the local area. And then we'll do probably a little bit of distribution, probably out of via Christchurch, touch in Wellington, but you probably won't see much up here, based on just volume. If I have to be sending beer up here, that I'm probably we need to push our realms a little bit. But
I've got 3 bars up here. I could. We'll talk later.
I really look forward to getting down there because Nelson's one of my favourite places in
My dad's side of the
Zealand.
family's from there. I love that.
I would happily move down there after. My wife knows this, so. I think that on we definitely I can see a podcast episode at the tasting room.
Yeah, well, please do. Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure both of your names are on our invite list for a grand opening. So
Can't wait.
it should be around early August.
There's my birthday.
There's only so much accommodation reworking. We've got to find out.
Rewalk is tight. Yeah, there's a couple of places, but I mean Nelson's great. It's only
you can wide. It is.
Yeah.
No, it is a beautiful part.
No, look, I'm sure I speak for many people who have kind of followed your beers and your brewing over the years, and that they are, while they were sad to see move on from McLeods, we are excited about what comes next.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to see what you come up with.
You too. Yeah, pressure's on. Yeah. No pressure. No future.
First batch has to be the best beer on earth. I'm just putting it out there.
No, that's it. Well, yeah, no, I mean, I'm sure we're going to be held to a really high scrutiny as well.
Absolutely.
Which is not
But
going to make my job any easier. But I'll rise to the challenge. I'll do the best I can. That's all I can say.
Awesome.
And that no matter what, we will always try to make it better every time.
That's awesome. Look, thank you guys. It's been.
Yes,
I knew this was going to be a great chat because I've known you guys a number of years now. I know how
we haven't even nitpicked the industry apart, which would have been really.
No, we do that in private after those podcasts. That's what the rest of the day's for.
That's right. Yeah, that's what we're doing a Galbraith.
Private afterwards, and maybe I promise I'll turn the camera off for that bit. But
if you see something coming out of my mouth and it's not, this could be AI. If I say something dumb, it's AI.
No, it's not. It's all real. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you, Andrew, for hosting us here and for the beers. And thank you both for your time, your honesty, and for revisiting what is, in terms of the accident, a really tough part of your lives. So thank you very much, and thanks, Jason, for taking the time today. I know that there's a hell of a lot going on in terms of kind of you moving
it's
south
a lot.
and whatever, but
I was really looking forward to it, and I really quite honoured.
Honoured to be on the first one.
Yeah, man, that you thought of us to be the first.
Absolutely. Very honoured.
It feels pretty special to me. You know what I mean?
Me too,
and we respect that immensely. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, audience. Bye-bye.
Well, as you heard at the end there, Jason, well ahead of the curve, revealed the name of the new brewery that he's opened with his wife Monica, Aliment, down in Rewaka, in the old Hop Federation, and prior to that, Monkey Wizard site. And timely, actually, Martin, because they have just released their first 3 beers. I thought it was really interesting. They were all sub 5%, which is quite cool. I like a sub 5% beer.
You can drink more of them.
Yeah, a Pilsner, a hazy pale ale, or an unfiltered pale ale, and a porter. And they went
porter called Beef.
Beef, yeah. Well, that was Jason's nickname when he was played ice hockey, apparently. I don't know if that was an ironic nickname because he's not beefy.
I think we've got to get down there and have a chat with them now, and once they've got set up. And I think that we need to explore that nickname and find out a bit more about that. It's awesome that they're up and running. They had some challenges at the start. Unfortunately, they decided to move to the Nelson region just as it got slammed by 2 massive weather events. There was a lot of flooding round and about. Their place was okay, but there was a lot of flooding, and the power was out for a while. So, but now they're up and running, and the lucky South Islanders get to experience the Aliment beers around various places. I think they've been using Punky Brewster as their to do some distribution, so they're around the South Island. Us poor North Islanders have to just look on longingly and wait for the point. I think Jason said the canning machine was arriving in October, so hopefully at that point we might get some small amounts of beers up here in the north. But until then, we will look on longingly and not at all jealous of our Island cousins.
Yeah, no, and I think exclusively 500ml cans is the plan, which is interesting in itself. Jason, I think he told me a while back he thought he was going to be one of the first into the 500ml cans, but he got beaten to the mark there by 8 Wide and Urbanaut. But I'm still waiting for that 500ml can explosion to happen. I'm sure there'll be more, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they look and taste in cans. So yeah, something for the springtime.
Yep. And lots of other interesting beers coming out of Behemoth since then. Also, the Trump theme has continued. I think poor Andrew is not going to be attempting to get into the United States anytime soon. I don't think anybody will. He could be flirting with.
Oh no, I think he'd end up in Guantanamo, no doubt.
I did try the hazy hot buddies, Don and Vlad, the weekend to celebrate the Alaskan summit. So, I hope everybody enjoyed that interview as much as I enjoyed doing it. It was a great chat with those two. Always a good time, and some good humor, some good insights. A really good time.
Yeah, and we're releasing this just slightly ahead of the actual anniversary date, which is the 10th of September. So I'm sure there'll be a bit of news around that, I imagine, anyway. But once again, you heard it here first. So, thank you for joining us for another session of the Third Pint Theory. And we'll be back down the line with as yet unprogrammed content.
Yes. Well, we've got a few things lined up. I've got a few things booked in.
Oh, no, we've got things lined up.
We've got lots of things lined up, but who knows
just have to do
what order it will appear in.
Yeah. Until then, you'll see us or hear from us on the other side of Beervana. And I think the next episode, Martin, we will be talking about the New World Beer Insider Awards.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, we'll get in something on that pretty soon. So stay tuned.
Look forward to it.
All right. Thank you.
See you soon.
Good night. Cheers.